Well, Iran has wrapped up a meeting with the UK, France and Germany about the future of its nuclear program in Turkiye. The Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister met diplomats from the European countries in Istanbul. Talks come after US President Donald Trump said a nuclear deal with Tehran was close to being finalised. Well, for more on this story, let's head over to Tehran. We can speak with Tohid Asadi now. So do we know what's come out of these talks?
Well, actually, the latest round of talks that took place between Iran and E3 takes place actually in a bigger context in which Iran is engaged in at least 4 tracks of talks, one with the United States and then the other one with the Europeans and the other one with conventional Eastern partners, and also another round of talks which is underway with the regional countries, including regional rivals that we see. So under this context, the current round of talks that concluded in Istanbul obviously is critically important for several reasons. Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister came out on his X account saying that the focus in these talks were lifting of sanctions on the one hand, and then also related to the indirect talks that is out there between Iran and the United States. So under this bigger picture, we can say that these talks are critically important, at least from 2 perspectives. First of all, we know that in order for any deal to be reached in the future between Iran and the United States, Europeans are going to be an important component of that deal, specifically when it comes to getting it translated into real actions, sanctions being lifted. This is one point. And the second point relates to the concept of snapback mechanisms, something that was there during the previous deal, JCPOA, the deal that was signed and sealed back in 2015, under which, in case of any non-compliance with respect to the deal, European countries and other countries as a member of this JCPOA, they have the right to trigger reimposition of UN Security Council sanctions against Iran.
Tohid, given what you've already mentioned about the snapback sanctions, do we know whether today's discussions have worked out any kind of understanding to avoid snapback sanctions, and in return for what might Iran at this position be able to give the Europeans?
Well, first things first, when it comes to details, when it comes to the negotiations between Iran and the US, Iran and the EU, we don't have much of details coming out, as they have decided not to spill the beans pertaining to the technicalities, details in these talks behind the closed doors. But still, we can say that snapback mechanism is a key point of concern for Iranian side. We know that the deadline is approaching on October. There might be a decision to be made according to the snapback mechanism, whether to terminate UN Security Council sanctions against Iran or continue them or reimpose them against the country. So in this context, we can rest assured that the possibility of these sanctions being reimposed under a situation that Iran is dealing with crippling sanctions and the economy of the country is experiencing some tough times, it goes without saying that the activation of this mechanism is going to be a key issue for Iranian negotiators when they come to the table. But still, we know that this is just one part of this bigger picture. There are other components, actors, factors, and determinants that could be taken into consideration when it comes to this already complicated situation related to Iran's nuclear program. In order to see what happens, we have to wait and see what goes on in the next round of US-Iran talks, as we know that it's going to put a certain amount of impact on the negotiations between Iran and EU on the other hand.
All right, thanks so much, Tohid Asadi from Tehran.